worker, light worker. I used to be a professional tarot reader. I was at 85, 95% accurate, and I became so popular that I was doing readings all the time, and it was exhausting. And so I decided not to do it anymore. However, it is something that I still really love the art. I warned people about is what I'm going to talk to you about may be what I call not kosher, which means like it may be unorthodox and you may not like, you may feel, that's a little crazy. But I never say things to people to make them say it as a fact. These are things that I discovered. These are things that I experienced. These are things that I've read. These are things that, I've seen through, videos and stuff like that in my personal life, all the way since I was 8 years old. So the story begins of what I'm going to start with is in 1992. In 1992, I was 16 years old. In 1992, my mom sat me down and she says, I want you to see something. It's really important. It's really cool. And she handed me the I Am Discourses, a volume by St. Germain Foundation, channeled by Godfrey Ray King. In these series of books, there's actually 12 volumes at the time. And the 12 volumes were originally printed in 1947. Okay, that's really important, that date right there. The originals was printed in 1947, and now it has been reprinted in 1985, and there's 22 volumes. But when I first read it, it was only 12. I read from volume 1 all the way to 11 between the ages of 16 and 18 years old. These books had taught me how to meditate. It taught me about crystals. It taught me about spiritual beingness. It talks about the ascended masters. It talked about Talos, um, um, and Sumerians and Poseids and all of those ancient civilizations that were there. It talked about aliens that were in contact with certain beings. It talked about the Galactic Federation. And again, this was printed in 1947. Okay. Each book is anywhere between 100 to 300 pages. Okay. So it's just filled with light and how to go within to gain your power. So as I was going inside myself and understanding that everything had frequency, and that this this existence is vast, a lot more vast than we know of. As I go further on to understand that, not only did I meditate more, but I end up going to these classes, knowing and finding people like me. There was like seminars that we go to. This is like when I lived in Wisconsin. Seminars I used to go to downtown of people that have the same beliefs, meditated, wanted to know more about how to work inside to get what you desire and get more of who you really are, separate from the ego. So at 18 and 19, I got pulled in from my spiritual beingness, my spiritual work, which is actually I call light work that you're doing within yourself. I got pulled away from that because there was the demands of our world, this physical world, right? We had to go to college. We're supposed to, once we graduate, we're supposed to get married. We're supposed to have babies. We're supposed to retire and blah, 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 right? Very bland. But it's like this drum beating. You must go to the beat of the drum. So indeed, I did go to college. I graduated with my bachelor's degree and in health administration. And after that, I went in and out of my spiritual beingness because it kept calling me. It felt like to fill the pool. So my middle sister became a doctor. My older sister became an accountant, and I became relentlessly became a spiritual worker, a light worker. I became a tarot reader, and I started doing it professionally. And I became a spiritual counselor, helping people to get where I was and understanding the powers of manifestation. Sorry about that. It's my allergies. I'm going to do that a few times throughout My allergies always hit when I'm live or when I'm doing recordings. But anyway, so how to manifest and all that kind of stuff. I start teaching that in counseling people through tarot. I really got into crystals a lot and understanding what they were for more and more. Before I got to doing spiritual work, light work, I was also reading lots of books. There's a book called Talos by Aurelia Jones, and I actually got the pleasure to talk to her over the phone. Um, it was more about the Talos, the Mount Shasta, how people are living in the mountains, um, and how the our Earth is not uh, solid. It is actually hollow, and how people were living in there. She talks more about spirituality as well. And then I started reading Conversation with God with Donald Walsch and Kryon with Lee Carroll. And there was another one that's called A Journey Home. Oh, I love the book A Journey Home by Lee Carroll. It's really beautiful. So there's a reason why I'm naming off these books. Okay, so I was on and off. I was on and off with my spiritual work. And finally, I got to a place where I wanted to stop. Like I told you before at the beginning, that I wanted to stop doing tarot because it was too much. Like I was doing tarot constantly. And I became a master tarot. I also became a tarot instructor, and I still have series of courses on how to master tarot on Udemy. However, I decided to quit tarot reading, as I said before, and I went on to Amazon. Amazon helped me get to where I wanted to be financially in the world, but I still felt that pull back into the spiritual world. So probably a couple of months ago, maybe I'll even say comfortably, maybe 4 months ago, I went inside myself and I said, what did I really want? What did I truly desire within my heart of heart without judging me? And it took me a while to get there because there's so many layers of judgment that I had to get to. And I said, what I really desire, I want to be able to go visit other planets in the universe in my physical body, not just ether and not just astral traveling. And I want to learn about these cultures. I want to learn about these beings. And also want to build a community that's sort of a sanctuary in my own city so people can feel comfortable expressing how they feel and what they think about what's going on in the world. And specifically when it comes to spirituality and metaphysical. So, um, after I expressed myself, this is the magic here. After I expressed myself of what I really want to experience, then all of a sudden I start getting synchronicities. Synchronicity is like when things started just happening one by one without you doing anything about it. You're not initiating, you're not trying to find it. It just happens. It just falls in your lap. And that's when it starts happening to me. My first synchronicity is when I was on TikTok. I was like obsessed with TikTok for a while because this is so entertaining. So I was scrolling through TikTok on a For You page and I came across this lady called Luminous Light. Luminous Light talked about her experience as with the Anunnaki. And she not only channeled, but she astral projected, she astral traveled and got to experience this magical, I don't even know what to call it. It was just magical. So I watched her videos, and so I sort of like I always do when I get information, I put a pin in it. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna put a pin in that. I went on about my life. A few days later, I was like, I wonder if I was an Anunnaki in my past life, or I wonder if I was Pleiadian in my last life. I'm just curious. And I heard a voice say very clear as day, no, Pleiadian, no, you're from Orion, or you are in Orion. And at first I was like, what? Because I didn't know anything about a constellation. I still don't know a lot about constellations. So I went to look on on the computer on Google to find out where Orion was, what it looked like, all that kind of stuff, the constellations. And I was like, okay, that's vast. That's a lot of space that you're saying that I'm from. So my third synchronicity is when, again, I was on TikTok. I was scrolling and I found this guy who was talking about a book called Alien Races. Alien Races by Elena Danaan. And so I was like, oh, okay, I want that book. I want to know more about aliens, of course, because that's what I said I wanted and within my deepest desire. So I bought the book and I was floored. When I say I was floored, I was floored. Like my mouth was like, what? Not only did she talk about her abductions, which triggered a memory in me, she also talked about over 100 different races of alien races that not only in our solar system, but in other solar systems, and how they've been helping us to raise our consciousness. Now, not all the alien races want us to raise our consciousness. Some of them don't because they benefit too greatly from it. So she talks about that too. The reason why I believe the things that are in this particular book is true, like I said, I started remembering things that she was talking about. And of course, one of the things she talks about is the Orion constellation. Talking about synchronicity, okay? I was like, wow, what? So she talks about very in depth about the Orion constellation, but there's so many species from that sector, bad and good, that I still don't know which ones that I might be from as of yet. Could have been experienced in my last life. So she talks very in detail about how she felt when she was abducted, which triggered a memory in me when I was, I think it was 17, might have been 17 at the time. And I was laying in my bed, sleep, and I could feel my body rise. It wasn't an outer body experience or an astral project. I know what the difference is. It was different than that. I could literally feel my body rise and go through the roof, and I could feel the rain falling on my face. And when I woke up, I felt time shift as though time was erased or my memory was erased. And she describes that in her abduction very specifically, how that felt. She also, when I woke up that next day, not only did I feel the time shift, I also looked out the window, it was raining when I woke up. So I was like, say what? It was one of those things like, what? Okay, so I just put it as, okay, I was dreaming. Maybe because I was at the time I was in Mobile, Alabama. Maybe they were, in the military area. So maybe they're doing experiments over here, and it messed with my aura or something like that, and it caused me to skip time, And so I just chalked it off as like they're playing around. The military's playing around with something. Okay. But with her, what she says in her book brought more and more memories of my experiences. And some of those memories I had going to classes, and where the instructor was an alien race, an alien being. But I never really, because I've never been that type of person that was like going to alien, type conventions, alien pictures and stuff all over my wall. Yes, I love sci-fi, but I was never like that. I was never like crazy about it, obsessed about it. And I never really talked about it with nobody. Even if my friends and family would hear this right now, they'd be like, I've never heard her say that. I've never heard her mention that. Right? Never. And there's so many other things she talks about that happened to me. It's so many little things that's happened to me in my life that is congruent to what she says in this book. Like when I was in my late 30s, two things happened to me in my late 30s. There's my allergies again. Two things happened in my 30s. One time I was going over a friend's house at night, and I could feel this pull towards the stars. and almost like it was asking me a question or was trying to communicate with me. And the stars. And I parked my car in front of my friend's house. And I looked up at the stars. It was clear. It's clear. And I said, "What?" You know what I mean? What is it you want? But I never got a response back. Second thing that happened to me is in my late 30s was when I was sleeping one day and I just say experience versus dreams because it's more like experience. I experienced being in this classroom and the teacher was from an alien race, but I didn't notice that she was, right? It was not a big deal. I wasn't scared of her. She was just my teacher. She was just my instructor. And everybody that was in class were humans like me. And they were kids. They were younger than me. They were like teenagers. Um, and so I was in there and she was like, okay, here's this formula. I want you guys to do this formula. And if you guys when you guys complete it, y'all can go to lunch. There's a little, surprise afterwards, blah, blah, blah. So everybody finished the formula except for me. They get the calculation. I'm doing the calculation. I could not figure out that formula for nothing. I kept trying to do it over and over and over again. I was getting really frustrated. At that point, the teacher had left the room and she went into her office. So I went into her office crying. I was like, oh my God, I can't figure out this formula, And I was just crying. I was so upset. And she gave me this look, yo. She gave me this look like, are you freaking kidding me? But it was more like that. She just didn't respond emotionally to me at all. This person, this being was short. She was a short female. It feels in my being that she was a female. She was a short female and she had this really big head. She didn't have any hair. And I can't remember what clothes she wore, but it's like professional, right? Like a suit or something like that, but not like, it didn't look like a suit from here, from, our planet. But I felt I felt her emotions as though she knew I was going to be okay. And the formula that she gave me, which I forgot to mention last night in the meeting, the formula she gave me, I started using in real life. And of course it works. And that's how I learned how to manifest everything. A specific formula on how to do it. And so, how to do it accurately, how to get results almost instantly sometimes, depending on what you're doing. And in my 30s, I also learned that I was an empath, overly sensitive, some of that overly sensitivity had to do with, abuse and trauma. But a lot of it was just simply because I was an empath. And I had to learn how to block myself. I had to learn how to let go. I had to let go of the frequencies and emotions I was feeling from other people. And it was the reason why I moved out of an apartment complex. I couldn't live there anymore because I was hearing everybody's thoughts and feelings. I could tell when each and every person was about to move out. I can tell when they were struggling with money. I can tell them when they were struggling in their relationships. I could tell, I knew all their business, all the things that was going on deep inside themselves. They didn't want anybody else to know. And I knew, I was like, okay, that person's getting moved out or they're getting kicked out because they couldn't pay rent or this is happening to them. This is happening to them. And I was very accurate. And that's why I was so accurate with tarot reading, because I became that person that I was doing readings for. So moving on, that happened. So I believe that's the third synchronicity was the Elena Danaan's book that had so many things that related to what was going on in my life or had happened in my life throughout my not only teenagers but in my 30s. Another thing that happened that she has in her book, she explains it confirmed what I was questioning about. And this might trigger a lot of people, and this may trigger the crap out of especially the Black community, but I want to tell you something serious. We are being totally played against each other. We are being played to fight each other. We are being played it's not saying that racism doesn't exist, but it's being blown up specifically right now more than ever to make us stay in lower vibrations. So that's why so many things are coming out at the same time. You got to think about it. Why is everything coming out at the same time to agitate us? Why are the race things coming out more? The abortion thing coming out more? The vax things coming out more? And they keep coming up with something else every single time. So it's constantly vibrating negative energy all the time to get us to fight each other. And that anger keeps us in low vibration at all times. Because when you get into the anger and defiant and mad and depressed and sad and fighting each other, you're in low vibration. You're in a very low vibration. Not to say that abortion is not an issue here, that the LGBTQ, TQIA plus is not an issue, and many other things are not an issue. Those are issues. However, they're using your weaknesses to gain access to other things. And Elena Danaan talks about that very specifically. And match when I did a tarot reading before the election. I wanted to know who was going to become president of the United States. And I did my tarot readings twice. I did it back to back to see if it was consistent. And it kept saying that Donald Trump was going to be president again, twice. So when he didn't become president, I was very curious. I was like, why is he not president? I am not a Trump supporter by any means, but I know my work, right? I know the accuracy of it. And so I was like, okay, so what type of person Trump really is? I put the media aside and all this kind of stuff that's going out there in the media right now. Who is he as a person? And then I read that he was actually a good person. And if you're a tarot reader, I'm going to tell you, he came up as a King of Cups. Shocking, right? I was like, what? King of Cups? And he comes up as the King of Pentacles, the King of Cups, the King of Pentacles. And I was like, why are they working so hard? Why did you always got to question when the media makes a person a bad person? When they go out their way to constantly stimulate the media and trying to figure out and trying to get this person to they made him seem dumb. He's not very intelligent. He's a racist. He did this, he did that, he said this, he said that. Now, I'm not saying Trump is a perfect person. He's not. He has many flaws. That's what I saw. He has many flaws. And he did do things that comes out racist, but it wasn't because he was racist, because he was money hungry. It was about business with him. It had nothing to do with, the Black community. He just didn't care. He didn't care if they were Black, white, Mexican. It was all about business at the time. But as he became older, he became more aware. And as becoming more aware, he started making choices that was against the political type mainstream, right? And they didn't like that. So they worked hard making him look like a horrible person and taking his words that he actually say and manipulate it. There's a way I've seen it done. Actually saw somebody that I really liked that I saw the original video of, and when she was on the news, they manipulated what she said and made it sound like she said something else. And I was like, that's what they did to Trump. And now I'm still not a Trump supporter. However, you got to be a person that is willing to look at all the freaking facts. All of it. Now, if you want to sit there and say he did this, he did that, where did you get that information from? Who told you that? Did you experience it yourself? Okay, ask yourself that question. Always be, even what I tell you here in the videos, always question what everybody tells you and go to your higher self and ask for confirmation and ask for the truth. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so that was the third one. So continuing on the third one, there's a lot more that was going on in that third synchronicity, other than finding out about Trump, finding out about my possible abduction as when I was 16, and other things that was happening in my life, and understanding what was going on. The other thing she talks about is why that our Earth is now vibrating on 5D, right? We're vibrating. A lot of us are reaching 5D in our physical body, not just the spiritual. So a lot of us who are sensitive and empath, just like me, may be experiencing like headaches, anxiety more than usual, hives, heart palpitations and stuff like that, because our physical body is starting to go from carbon to crystal. Slowly, it's going to start into our carbon body is going to start going on to crystals. Okay. Don't worry, I got the links to all this stuff. I got the links to all my book, all the books I read, everything I'm talking about, okay? Okay, so you do your own research. So she also talks about how, remember I told you that there's the bad aliens, the good aliens, the ones that don't want us to raise our vibration because there's so much benefits to that. And that's the reason why we need to raise our vibration. We need to keep our vibration high, because once we keep our vibration 5D and higher, they can't touch us, because we can become too aware. We become too conscious, and we can't be used as slaves. And so that's what it's all about. They're trying to keep us in this low vibration so we can keep doing the things, not fight for our rights, and not fight for the things that we need to do to be a higher consciousness, and elevate to better things in life. And that's including a better earth, clean living, clean energy. All that stuff is just almost there, but we have to keep our vibration up high and not get sucked into the media, the mainstream media, that is. Not only do these beings want us to stay in low vibration, so do major corporations. Duh, we all know that, right? They know they're benefiting the most, especially the ones that are billions and $1 trillion on budget, are making that much money. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if our world, or just here in the United States, would have free healthcare, and it will only be taxed for the billionaires and trillionaires? The billionaires get taxed only, 2 million. The trillionaires get taxed 2 billion. That alone would help. You know what I mean? That alone would help the United States. You got to start thinking beyond, regular what we're getting fed on a daily basis. We can afford free healthcare. That's what they feed you and tell you so that you can keep working and slaving. We're all working just to live. That's all we're doing. Every single one of you, including me, work to just live. Healthcare, we pay for healthcare, we pay for car insurance, we pay for car repair, we pay for the car itself, we pay for license for the car, the license plates. We pay for just to eat. We pay, the healthcare is ridiculous. Healthcare is absolutely different. Not only do you pay health insurance, when you go to the hospital, you pay again. Come on, we need to wake up. Now, we're only working to breathe. You're literally paying to breathe on this earth. That's it. Now, if you get a little extra in there, you can squeeze in a little playtime in there, then you're lucky. Because a lot of us are not that lucky unless you take yourself completely off the grid. Completely off grid. And a lot of people are doing that because they're awakening to it. It's insane to have us work so hard. And then they want us to work for wages that doesn't even pay the constantly high prices of living. While cost of living keep going up, the prices of food keeps going up, the prices of healthcare keeps going up, and houses keep going up. What are we supposed to do? Are we going to keep fighting each other? That's why they're keeping us busy fighting each other. Or are we going to fight the real problem, which is these major corporations and the government who participating in this greedy act to suck us completely dry? It's insane. Our world is insane. You think I'm insane? Well, take a look at our world. Our world is completely insane. What we allow is insane. It's completely insane. So the fourth synchronicity I was finding was when I was watching TV, and I found the movie Prometheus. A lot of you probably seen the movie Prometheus before, but I saw the movie after I read Elena's Danaan's book, and it coincides with the Anunnaki creating humans, how they felt, how they really feel about us. Now, some people say the Anunnaki are melanated, but actually they're both. There are two different races of the actually there's several races on the Anunnaki. Just like there's several different races for humans, right? Anunnaki comes, they have this like pigment type skin like the movie Prometheus, and there are ones that are African or melanated. Okay. And I believe that the Anunnaki might have created the melanated later on to mix with their own DNA, because there's so many benefits to having the human DNA mixed in theirs, even though they're the ones that created the human race in the first place. But they found, once we became conscious, especially now, and we have a certain component that they're looking for, and they want it to blend with their own culture, their own race or species, I should say, their own species. So I think they're more than just African American. It's cruel. It's crude to say they're only pale looking, or they're only black. No, they are a multitude of colors, just like we are. Come on now. So I love that movie because it kind of gave you a look of what they really look like, how they really treat their existence. They don't give a crud. The ones that are pale don't give a crud about their experiments. We're just an experiment to them. We're just a genetic creation they created in order for us to do the work that they needed us to do. Okay. So once they created us, we were like, we don't mean anything to them. And the Anunnakis are genetic masters. They're masters at genetics and creating different species, as it shows in the actual movie. So let's move on to the fifth synchronicity. Okay, this is the only synchronicity that I did on purpose. Okay, and so should I call it synchronicity? I'm gonna go ahead and call it synchronicity because later on I got a hold of something else. That's when I joined two alien groups. Okay, this is my first time even joining the whole UFO abduction type world. Okay, and yeah, that's a lot of crazy stuff in there that are just made up, photoshopped. You get everything in there. But when I went to scan through all the stuff, I found a post that I found interesting, which led me to a website, which led me to a YouTube channel of this lady. Her name is Penny Bradley. Penny Bradley talks about her experience and with being abducted. Now, this stuff is wild. The only reason why she found out in the first place is because she went and had past life regression therapy, hypnosis done to herself. And then I found out there's this group called the AIO. The AIO certifies a person whether they are real or not, if they're making up stuff or not. Okay, so I don't know if they're a private sector or the government sector. I didn't go that deep, so you have to go on your own. You can look it up online. The AIO certified that this lady was telling the truth because she said things that were so significant that no one could possibly know the things that she knew unless they experienced it themselves. So I listened to her story and was wild. And I was like, what? So I was finding more stuff through her. In fact, the President Eisenhower was very adamant about that. He did not want his people or have a contract with these negative aliens so they can take us and use us, for technology. He did not want to do that trade. Speaking of Eisenhower is actually, she talks about President Eisenhower, and Elena Danaan's book. She's also friends with Laura Eisenhower, which is her great-great-grandmother. So Laura Eisenhower, which I also put her link in a YouTube comment below, she actually talks about the secrets that her father, great grandfather, gave her, and that was in her family. She comes full disclosure about the things that were going on and verifies everything that I'm saying as far as these aliens. Okay, so I'm giving you a link to Elena Danaan. I'm giving you the link to Laura Eisenhower. Not only Elena Danaan's books, I'm giving you her YouTube channel too, and Laura Eisenhower's YouTube channel. Okay, you're getting all of that. So, and you're gonna get the YouTube link to Penny Bradley's, and you can see for yourself. So I seriously thought to myself, oh, like, okay, so my hair self, knowing all things, said, okay, Jessica, you wanna take a trip from planet to planet? You might wanna know what's going on out there, before you go out there. So I feel like I was giving this information to find out what's really going on, so I can make a choice of what species I want to work with and which ones I don't want to work with. Because I was just about to jump on in there, you know what I mean? That's how I've always am with my desires, When I want something and truly want it within my heart, I go full force. That's how I've always been. So I feel like I was being protected by the universe, and it's like, wait, let me show you what's really going on, and so that you can choose from that. There's another book that Danaan has. I've read both, and she talks more in detail about the actual channeling and her abduction. She has more abductions after the first time. As an adult, more and more abductions. She's been taken all over the place in her astral projections. And the thing is, the things that I read, now we're going to go back to the books that I told you about, the I Am Discourses, the Telos, the Kryon books. All of those talked about the same things she talks about in her book that she discusses on her YouTube channel about these alien beings, about the Galactic Federation. I knew about the Galactic Federation when I was 16, 17 years old, because I read all about it. And it became confirmed as I started reading about it in more books. So the Galactic Federation is doing its best to protect this planet. It's important for them because if this planet goes dark, it affects the whole solar system. It affects other solar systems, and they did not want that to happen. So they put that all in to help to protect our planet against these negative beings. And even though I read that long time ago, I thought, oh, okay, we say somebody's watching out for us. But no, they have, because we have free will, the negative aliens trick us all the time. They trick us into contracts and all these other kind of things, into doing things that it's not benefiting to us the long term. Everything they try to trade with is only temporary. Okay, so it's not long term. So they actually end up ruining. That's why the earth is being ruined more, because we having these our government's having these contracts with these negative beings, or all over the world they have these contracts with these negative beings because they're promising them all the stuff that's providing them greed. She also talks about the Illuminati. Okay, I ain't getting into that, but she talks about that too, and how that works, and how it's connected to the alien race. So that's why we need to keep our vibration high. We need to keep our vibration high so that we are not in this energy of vulnerability. It's up to us to say, not only keep our vibration high, to keep asking our higher self, and through our higher self, the beings that are helping us as far as the Galactic Federation and beyond, help us, ask for help, ask for protection, and keep asking for it. That's our responsibility, because we have free will. So remember when Trump spitted out that we was going to have a space force? That's what that was all about. He was telling the truth. That Donald Trump is the one that signed a different contract when he was in office with the good aliens to build a space force with through the Navy to help protect, so we can protect ourselves. That's what the space force is for. And we all thought he was playing around and he was kidding, right? Yeah, we all thought he was joking until I actually met somebody that was in the Space Force. Actually started dating somebody that was in the Space Force. And he didn't tell me anything about just other little things that were happening in there. But the fact that I knew that he was in it, because I was in the military when I was younger. That's something that I left out of my whole experience. I was in the Navy Reserves for 3.5 years. I also married a man, became a military wife, and after my divorce or after our legal separation, I was dating men that was in the military pretty often and could get pieces, got pieces. So I'm putting all these pieces together. As I know from my experience, it all correlates. It's no conflict with what this lady is saying or any of these other people are saying so far. So far, it all is being confirmed. And that is it. That's my whole story. I have so many other spiritual experiences, but those are the ones that are significant to Elena Danaan's, what she's saying, to what Laura Eisenhower is saying, to what Pamela Bradley is saying, and the books that I read from Telos and I Am Discourses. Okay, and my own personal experience. So all those things um, are real, and it's becoming more real for me as I keep searching and as I keep collecting, keep having these experiences. I'll do my best to come out here on YouTube, or I have a meetup live. I have live meetups um, on Zoom, and where I'm talking about this, as it come along. And if you have any experience you would like to share, there's the link below to join our meetup. It's a Zoom live. You don't have to be here in Pensacola to actually join. You can just join the live and hear other people's stories. Once you start hearing other people's stories and sharing these experiences, you'll know that you're not alone. It'll start making more and more and more sense as you do your own research, as you ask your higher self for confirmation. So that link is below. I want to thank you so much for listening to this very long video. Well, it's long for me because I like my videos to be only like 20 minutes long. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I appreciate you taking the time.